Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Urvashi Sharma, Associate Professor, Department of Journalism and Mass Communication. In today's session, we'll be discussing scope and significance of translation in Indian media. Need and importance of translation. Translation is a medium of lingual exchange as basic structural background of language adds something relevant to our knowledge. Though through translation we get an access to rich literature of another language. It has assumed the form of genre which binds the whole world in a dialogue. Through translation we become acquainted with the creative work of another language. It establishes meaningful relation between two languages. Translation has brought a new awakening, a new revolution as a result of exchange of information. The soul of translation is reflected through translation of words. Translation is not too free to take much liberty. In perspective of media and translation, it may be understood that today translation does not simply mean replacement of textual material in one language by equivalent textual material in another. The purpose and need of translation has been undergoing a constant change with changing means of mass communication. We come across several of its examples in our day-to-day life. Translation is assuming newer perspectives beyond the substitution of one code by another. Principles and practices of translations are in transition. The knowledge from the translation provides a new horizon to human thinking. Technological development has revolutionized the process of translation. It has shaped our lifestyle and has given a new edge to our sense and sensibility. These have enriched our experience on various events, thereby enlightening our environment. Several forms of affinity between translation and media can be seen through various agencies of mass communication, such as newspaper, radio, television, films, internet, etc. They are opening new area for translation. These forms can be classified as interlingual and intersymbolic. Translation is cutting across two culture. It involves an analysis of work in the source language, the period in which the writer flourished, and glance through his other works, if possible, and above all, the selection of parallel words and structures in the targeted language. The relationship between translation and media is based on modern techniques and agencies of mass media are putting it to variety of use. The media does not use translation as a source of linguistic change alone, but also to highlight regional characteristics of a dialect or a language. We can mention a number of foreign films whose dialogue have been rendered into our language. These have been visible both on the large as well as small screen, but we can put under this category many television programs or serials which have used translation to this level. The relationship between translation and media is growing these days. It is not so much on the linguistic level, but it is interpreted with the moving scenes projected on cinema or TV screen. The relationship between translation and media started in India in 1896 when Lumiere brothers showed on screen the movies that impressed the audience. The beginning of the century saw the talkies with them progress the translation, and today we can enjoy films on various subjects produced in different languages. The means of translation have advanced so much so that film, television serial in several languages are quickly rendered into languages. Media cannot hope to develop further in the absence of translation. Intersymbolic translation is not very common, still although we have some sporadic examples of it. Most of the Mahadevi Verma's poems have been illustrated and same feelings can be communicated in both the media. Many literary works have inspired sculptors, musicians, painters and architects. Sometimes some pictures or statues has inspired literature, for example. Milton's Paradise Lost, Picasso's immortal painting of Mona Lisa have inspired many artists with creative instinct. Film or television serial based on literary works may also be put under this category. Modern agencies of mass media present a totally different picture. Their changing role expresses itself differently in linguistic level. It is a purposeful exercise as films and televisions a universal source of information, education and recreation. They do not simply translate but also transposing images shape them in new colors. They project an image of modern scientific world and are capable of assembling the world as one place. Linguistic dependence on translation is different level when the text is presented visually. Visual images clarify the meaning and leave the imprint on our mind. Event passes before our eyes, we imbibe automatically. It is supplemented with language. Translation helps to spread the knowledge on one hand and inspires ideological spirit by introducing the research work along with pros and cons. The significance of translation has been accepted widely as national and international level both. Its lucrative profession as translator is able to earn respectable amount. It is most sensitive and sentimental form as it is shaped media with new design, style and subject matter. The comparative study, translation helps to understand the culture, rituals and tradition of another community, country, thereby enlightening the minds of the receiver. This process promotes the feeling of brotherhood and national integration. We are able to observe and understand the original version in totality. Translation process has brought fantastic changes in modern media translation by transferring different feelings, emotions and sensitiveness into the process. Translation is necessary in journalism and also in other aspects because of its importance in education and for fulfillment of inquisitive instinct. The impact of so dynamic and instant that it makes young and old spellbound alike. Media and its forms are harmonizing Indian society with an entirely new background. In later scenario modernization, our own past is lost somewhere, which is an issue of grave concern. In the present awakening, translation is binding indigenous culture with pleasure seeking culture of the West. This powerful technique is changing the social milieu rapidly. It has capacity to change the society in the present perspective. Human beings have always felt necessity of communicating their ideas to others. This has to do with variety of of languages which maintain harmony amongst themselves. Being very dynamic and changing, it gives new form and technique to translation with modern meaning. Translation and mutual exchanges have become so powerful that they supplement each other. Through dubbing, translation, or transfer, the entire world has become almost one unit. Thus, we may say that it is the greatest achievement of translation that translator finds himself free enough due to the nature of translation in expression. Nature of translation and its relation with the media and journalism. To comprehend and understand the mutual relationship between media and translation, it is better to look at the nature of translation on linguistic basis. It is believed that the ideas and feelings that are communicated through various aspects of translation exist in the source language in form of facts. But when it takes the form of linguistic translation with music and pictures, it becomes more effective in modern form. The nature of translation has to be understood before understanding media. Translation has its own importance, like the original writing, because the readers enjoy translation in the same manner as they enjoy the original one. It is fact that it needs efficiency in translation as well. Unity of source language and the target language is important, in whose absence the definition would make a little sense. In the context of translation and media, we find that it is from a form has become modern. The new definition of translation presents translation in new form. Translation has become a new medium of communicative form of language combined with visuals and music. However, it is difficult to be unanimous about the nature of translation and changing perspective of translation in media. Yet, Dr. Manjula Das commented on the nature and scope of translation that basically translation can be defined in two contexts, vast and limited. In vast sense, symbolic meaning and symbol itself make the complexity of translation easy. When a word becomes a convention in a specific meaning, it is called a symbol, and symbols are visuals and carry definite meaning. Dr. Goswami signifies that phonetics has an important place in translation. Dr. Bholanath Tiwari has said that translation is an attempt to express one's idea from one language to another with all possible honor and ease to both the languages. The new shape of translation has evolved various means of media and broadcast. The new role of translation through media means that it communicates new idea. Today, media has made translation so significant and interesting that it has become a part of and parcel of media industry. Thus, the language of translation passes through different processes and forms of expression are all the time new and symbolic. They acquire quite different nature from the classical form of language. For example, if we discuss various aspects of translation through different channels of media and mass communication, we find that lingual translation has become a popular regional translation in radio. We can say that different forms through films which present the translation of a language, giving priority to visual imagery and leave the conventional exact translation far behind. Media and translation have practical unity, and language used in media, along with visionary form, is becoming popular. So, in today's session, we studied the nature and the scope of translation in media. Thank you.